Now the meeting number 260 is come to order. So now I request media moderator for lighting up virtual lamp and Ganesh Vandana. Amit, सुनी पार्थ की?
आगे सर कर ली.
हाँ, virtual lighting of the lamp and also Ganesh Vandana.
इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना, हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना, इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना.
Now for national anthem, we will stand. Stand up, please.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Now I request Rotarian Ganeshwar Patnaik to take over the further procedures of meeting. Rotarian Ganesh Patnaik, please.
Hello,
Yes, you are audible.
I'm audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, President Rotarian Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, for giving me this opportunity. Esteemed President of our club, Rotarian Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, Chief Guest of today's webinar, our DG Rotarian FC Mahanti, today's speakers on cancer, Professor Dr. Bidhu Kalyan Mahanti, Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik, all the President-elect, the IPP, all the PPs, all the dignitaries attending this webinar, all the members of all the Rotary clubs participating in today's webinar. A warm and hearty welcome to all of you. Very good evening to all of you, sir. At the outset, I request Rotarian Bhagwan Padhi to read the Rotary four-way test. Rotarian Bhagwan Padhi, please.
So please unmute yourself.
Sir, I am audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
A
you are audible.
very auspicious evening to all the dignified members present over here. Sir, the Rotary four-way test asks us 4 questions about the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? The last, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Padi. Now I take this opportunity to welcome and invite our beloved President, Rotarian Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, to address all the participants. Dr. Mahapatra, please.
Good evening, Subha Sandhya. I welcome you all to this webinar this evening. We are privileged with the gracious presence of our Honorable District Governor, Rotarian F.C. Mahanti. We welcome you, sir. We welcome the two eminent and learned speakers of the evening, Professor Dr. Vidhu Kalyan Mahanti and Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik. Both of them are working in KIMS Cancer Center under KIT University, Bhubaneswar. Professor Mahanti was previously working as Professor and HOD of Radiotherapy Department of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. And Madam Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik is working as Assistant Professor in KIMS Cancer Center under KIT University at Bhubaneswar. Both are eminent and learned speakers, and I am sure their deliberation will enable us to be aware of cancer and to keep us away from cancer, the dreaded disease, commander of death. Now I welcome both the speakers cordially to this webinar, and I also welcome our PDG Subhash Sahu sir and IPDG Saini sir and all the PDGs and AGs and presidents of Rotary clubs of our district and outside of district, and all the secretaries and Rotarians of our district and our other districts also. So all the guests, family and friends of Rotarians, I welcome you all. So now we will proceed for the further procedures of meeting, and with this welcome address, now I hand over the mic to Rotarian Ganeshwar Patnaik. Rotarian Patnaik, please. Not audible.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you, dear President, Rotarian Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, for your nice welcome. It's time for Rotarian Dr. Prevananda Patel to give a brief introduction of our chief guest, DG Rotarian F.C. Mahanti. Dr. Patel, please.
So he might have joined with some other name.
Dr. P.N. Patel, please.
Prevananda Patel.
Just a second, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Audible?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Now you are audible.
Go on, please.
Thank you, Patnaik Babu and Dr. Mahapatra, President Rotary Club Riverside. I am privileged and it is my pleasure to welcome Rotarian FC Mahanti, MPHF, District Governor 2020 and 21. Rotary FC Mahanti, shortly FC, Barnet, Cuttack, and had his engineering from Regional Engineering College, Raulkela, now NIT Raulkela, in 1971. He then served in a reputed manufacturing company. He has undergone a senior executive marketing management program from IIM Ahmedabad. The entrepreneurship in him prompted to start his independent marketing house and then venture into manufacturing refractories intermediate and allied product. He is the managing director of Polyrefractories Private Limited, Raulkela. For his innovation and entrepreneurial initiative, he has been awarded National Award from MSME in 2009 by Government of India at Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. FC joined Rotarian in 1992. He served as the president of Rotary Club Raulkela Midtown in 98-99. During his tenure, the club received 2 children opportunity grants from Pedicare Hospital and Street Children Project. He was instrumental in managing the club as 100% contributed to TRF in 98-99. Besides being the highest contributor club to TRF in the district. He was the district assembly chairman twice, 2011 at Raulkela, 2017 at Lavaska. He has attended almost all the assemblies and conferences of the district and was speaker of a number of seminars and district events. He was the outstanding assistant governor in 2001 and 2. Many awards were bestowed on him: Best President, RA Presidential Citation, Significant Achievement Award from RI for Raulkela Pediatric Hospital, 4th Avenue of Science Award in 98-99, Club Builder Award in 2012-13 and 14-15, besides many district awards. He is the faculty of RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute, and is involved in many training activities in the district. FC is associated with many social organizations and educational institutions. He is the fellow of Institution of Engineers India and life member of Indian Institution of Chemical Engineering, Indian Ceramic Society, Indian Institute of Material Management. He was the president of NIT Raulkela Alumni Association for record of 4 times and made it a global one. He is a life member of ISKCON, Youth Hospital Association, Raulkela Chamber of Commerce, Music Circle, Brahmani Club, and many other social organizations. His organizational and leadership ability is well proven in many occasions. FC loves traveling and travel almost all parts of India, Nepal, Southeast Asia, USA, Canada, etc. FC is happily married to Arati Madam, a past president of Inner Wheels. They are blessed with 1 son Abhijit, 1 daughter Ipsita. The son is looking after the industry at Raulkela and married to Sneha, an executive in Shell, Raulkela Steel Plant. Daughter is a software engineer, is now in USA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Dr. Patel, for your nice introduction of DG Rotarian Chief Mahanti. Now I request our dynamic DG Rotarian FC Mahanti to deliver his speech.
Yes, good evening.
FC
Good
Mahanti.
evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Patel, special thanks to you for an elaborate but would have been a shorter one introduction. Thank you very much. What a nice evening to have so many doctors around in a time where you need doctors to advise us on the health. I have been always saying this pandemics has taught us many things. And the priority, everything has come, that number one priority is take care of your health. If your health is okay, you can take care of others. So stay safe, stay well was our slogan right from the beginning. The government was also impressing. Then comes family, caring for others. Many things have been taught by pandemics, but the best thing is to take care of your own health. And when Dr. Mahapatra suggested that why not get an awareness on cancer? So we have Dr. Vidhu Kalyan Mahanti, Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik, and I'm seeing Dr. Upadhyay from London has also joined. I believe Dr. Mahapatra is there.
Yes.
My regards to all of you. Without killing much time, I think this is the right time to hand over to the doctors. And I would request, let them give some time for interaction after their talk. After both of them talk, then we can have some questions, whatever awareness we get from this now. So I must congratulate Dr. Mahapatra and the Rotary Club of Riverside for trying to create awareness on any subject on health, because we have a program also, this health preventive. Health preventive is also one of the aspects which has been introduced, and this is a part. Thank you very much. Now I hand over to Dr. Patnaik to proceed and hand over to our esteemed speakers available here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
District Governor Rotarian F.C. Mahanti, for your brief speech. And we are getting all sort of guidance and cooperation from you whenever we need. So we expect that in future also we will be getting similar support from our DG sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now we are patiently waiting to listen the speech of our distinguished speakers. I request our President-elect, Dr. R.C. Meher, to introduce Professor B.K. Mahanti. Dr. R.C. Meher, please. Dr. R.C. Meher?
So she hasn't started a video.
Hello?
Hello.
Meher sir.
Yes, I am.
Dr. Meher, please unmute yourself and your video also.
It is not audible, my voice?
Yes, I am audible.
Okay. Please,
But
please.
your video, please.
Video is not, what about
Video
video?
is not there. Yes.
Yes,
Now you're visible and audible.
audible.
Yes.
Thank you, Rotarian Ganeshwar Patnaik, Treasurer of our club Riverside. Good evening to you all. It is my proud privilege to give introduction of a renounced cancer specialist, Professor Vidhu Kalyan Mahanti, who is famous not only in Odisha, but also in India and internationally also. Professor Mahanti is Director, Cancer Center, Kalinga Institute of Medical Science, KIMS, Bhubaneswar. He completed his MBBS from MKCG Medical College, Berhampur, and MD from PGI, Chandigarh. He has worked in academic faculty post from 1985 to 2013. He was Professor AIIMS New Delhi till February 2013. He is editor textbook of radiation oncology, cancer larynx and hypopharynx. He has to his credit 184 publications already published, 238 publications Googles and 18 book chapters. He has 2,588 citation, high index 25 as on September 2020. His research works areas are head and neck, gastrointestinal and lung cancers. He received Lifetime Achievement Award conferred by Foundation for Head and Neck Oncology in 2016. He served as expert for IAEA Vienna and in European Commission's Health Cancer Area Activity. His social and voluntary works includes he is advisor Forum of Odisha Dialogues Bhubaneswar and advisor Amrit Dhara Palliative Care Trust Bhubaneswar. With this much of short introduction, I present the renounced cancer specialist Professor Mohanty before you all. Please give him a big hand and welcome him. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rotarian Dr. Meher, for your excellent briefing on our chief speaker, Dr. B.K. Mohanty. Now I request Professor Dr. B.K. Mohanty to deliver his speech on cancer. Professor Dr. B.K. Mohanty, please.
समस्तंकु मोर नमस्कार
नमस्कार
मोर भॉइस समस्तंकु सुना जाउची ना नहीं आगो सेटा कहंतु
Yes, yes.
क्लियरली सुना जाउ
yes.
आज्ञा I am Dr. Jogmaya Patnaik from the KIMS Cancer Center, KIT University, Bhubaneswar. We are very thankful and we feel honored for giving us this opportunity, and we must thank the Governor F.C. Mohanty, Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, and your Secretary, Mr. Acharya, and all the Rotarians at Rourkela. More than anything else, what Rotarian Patnaik told about me is the unfilled part which he has not told, that after nearly 44 years, 6 months back, I returned to Orissa and I'm trying to relocate to Orissa. I have taken up this position at the KIMS KIT University. And can I have the first slide, please? Can I have the first slide, please?
Amit.
Yeah. Can you please give it a focus? It is unfocused. It's not coming in good focus.
It's clear.
What's the reason why it is not coming in good focus?
Amit, please try to magnify the focus.
Sir, this is the original one. This is what
Okay.
Achha.
You had
Sorry,
told me
cannot.
that it is all in order. Oh, it's a challenge now, because these slides, then I have to take down my slide. Give me some time. Give
Okay,
me
okay.
some time. Mama, এটা share करियो कहलू.
Yeah, I'll do it.
The magnify
Sir, sir, can you see the next slides?
Just a minute.
Wait a second. Let me just.
এটা ইয়ে করলো.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Can you try projecting it once more, please? Sure.
No,
No,
it's
it's
not coming in focus.
Okay, all right. I will project it at our end. Just give me a minute.
Can you please allow us to share?
Yes, sir, you have the permission.
The presentation.
Yeah.
Right. So screen share.
Yeah. Is it coming okay now? Yeah, it's so clear. Yeah, is it visible to all?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So what you can see is the entrance to the existing KIMS Medical College Hospital. It's a 1700 bedded hospital, and on the right side, on the bottom, you will see one building coming up. And I have joined along with my colleague, Dr. Jogma, and many others who are already working here to set up this cancer center. This cancer center will be a 7-storied building. It's a separate building within the KIMS and the KIT University. It will have its own clinical care, academic and research activities with the support of all of you. And I must admit that I, being new to Odisha, will require tremendous amount of support from all of you. Every painter or a writer looks at a landscape. And when we talk about cancer, cancer is like a landscape. Every nook and corner or the center of a landscape will show you something. What I will do in the next 20 minutes or so, I will try to just give you the following things. What's the beginning of cancer? What we call as the cancer burden or load for the society. What are the common cancers for India and Odisha? A little bit about the screening, diagnosis, and management. And as the governor rightly said, that we have the health initiative in Rotary. Should I be interrupted? No, please, Amit, mute everybody. Okay. And as the governor, FC Mohanty, said that there is a health initiative of the Rotary. What should be the participation of the non-government organizations or agencies to improve the cancer care in Odisha? Cancer is known to humankind for more than 4,500 years, right from Panini, who really championed the Charak Samhita and was not only one of the first finest of linguists of our country for the last 4,000 years. Similarly, also from many other parts, the papyrus, archival surveys, and various artifacts have shown cancer to exist for more than about 4,500 years. What you can see here, interestingly, is a gold coin, which was the barter coin for the kingdom of Agra when Jahangir, the Mughal king, in 1618. You can see it on the bottom. And what you will be fascinated to see is that it has the crab. Crab is globally known as the symbol of cancer. That means something like 400 years back, the batter coin in India used to use crab. That means cancer was known to that particular kingdom. When we talk about the world, every year from more than about 165 countries, the cancer data is collected. And in 2020, as you can see, that out of a population of about 7.6 billion, nearly 18 million had cancer diagnosed in that particular year. That means 2020, which is coming to an end, and 9.5 million succumbed to the cancer. So that means something like about 50% of all cancers being diagnosed are being added to the global population as the cancer survivors. So although many a times we see this as the most dreaded disease, many other diseases, I always say in public, that are much more dreaded than cancer. The survival in cancer, as I will show down the line, has increased exponentially with the advancement of medical science. The cell in the human body is our storehouse. It's a storehouse of our life story, our energy, various changes that are taking place in our body, and it is the structural element from which the cancer originates. Usually because of external injuries or because of internal injuries or because of changes in the cell due to any kind of genetic stimulation or any kind of genetic alterations, the cells undergo what we call as growth or proliferation. And the cells escape the normal cell cycle, and then the tumor grows. This is how the story of the cancer begins. When we see cancer or diagnose a cancer, the cancer has evolved over a period of time. From the, like say, on your left side, you will see the normal mucosa or the covering of the intestine. From the normal intestine cells, whenever the changes take place, the mutation of those cells take place, either due to genetic changes or due to any kind of other lifetime injuries. And from there, what we call as dysplasia, and then the de novo cancer and the overt cancer, it comes to our diagnosis. So cancer is not exactly like a fire that you ignite instantly. It usually begins over months and years, except for few aggressive cancers. Usually the cancer grows over a period of months to years. Now I will focus on India. India contributes to something like 10% of the global cancer burden in the world. And approximately, as you will see, out of a population of 1.3 billion, we have something like about 1.3 million cancer cases diagnosed every year, out of which something like about nearly 0.8 million or 0.78 million, that means 7.8 lakh, die every year. That means compared to the previous graph that you showed, that you had seen, where about 50% are being added to the population as cancer survivors, in India, the cancer survivors are less than 32%. More than 67% of the cancer patients die every year when we take the incidence versus the death. Or like these days we see about the COVID that you are talking about, the COVID incidence versus COVID mortality. Cancer is one disease where registration of the cancer is the beginning step of addressing the cancer control. It has been globally realized that unless you have a proper tracking or mapping of cancer, you will not know how to address it, because there is so much of regional, geographical, and other differences that come into picture. In India, the National Cancer Registry program started on 1st January 1982 with 3 population-based cancer registries and 3 hospital-based cancer registries. The main objective of these cancer registries are to generate reliable data on cancer burden, to study the epidemiological aspects of the cancers that we see or register, and how to design, plan, monitor, and evaluate the cancer control activities under the National Cancer Control Program of India. And then to develop training programs for cancer registration and epidemiology. From 1982 to now, over the 38 years in 2020, we have population-based cancer registries 36 and hospital-based cancer registries we have 148. But what you can see on the right on the map of India on the top panel, you will see that for Odisha, there is only one hospital-based cancer registry. There is no population-based cancer registry. Please mark my words. And you can see that National Cancer Registry Program showed in 2020, the Acharya Harihar Regional Cancer Center recorded 3,549 cases, whereas another paper in 2019 showed it as 4,811 cases. Whereas we know that globally the cancer burden is increasing by 5 to 7%, you can see these disparities. These disparities come in Orissa because there is only one hospital-based cancer registry which is providing the data. Usually in India, about 10% of the population are covered by the population-based cancer registry. It requires more amount of efforts, more amount of manpower, more amount of what we call as government grants or funding. And for 4.6 million, for 4.6 crore population, our catchment is only within one hospital, whatever cancer patients are coming. So obviously, we will not be able to correctly project the data, like as you can see from this map, in the north or in the south or in the west or in the eastern part, like the northeastern part. Odisha, as you can see, is highly sporadic in its cancer registration. And this is one aspect I'm trying our Rotarians to try to see how this can be addressed along with engagement with the government. But this is more important. From 1990 to 2016, the two maps which I am showing, in 1990, in Odisha had about 68.6 per 100,000. That means 68.6 cancer cases diagnosed per 1 lakh. And this has increased to 83.6 per 1 lakh population. That means in about 25 years' time, the cancer has increased by 120% in Odisha, as you will see from the next slide. And this is a very, very recent publication about India's state level burden of cancer, Lancet Oncology 2018. A very, very robust data about the state level of cancer burden in India. What are the top cancers in India out of the 1.3 million new cancer cases that we see? Stomach, breast, lung, lip and oral cavity, pharynx, that means the food pipe, the upper food pipe. So all these constitute the top 5 cancers in India when we combine both the sexes. When we combine the head and neck sites like lip and oral cancer and pharynx, that means the upper part of our food pipe, we will see that it jumps over, the head and neck cancer jumps over stomach and breast. But surprisingly, what you will always see is that the cancer data for head and neck, different regions of head and neck are usually registered as lip, oral cavity, larynx, that is the voice box, pharynx. So it appears as if the head and neck cancer is lower than the stomach or breast. But ideally, when we combine all, then we will see that the region of the head and neck cancer is the topmost for India. We often say and we often think that the cancer is a disease of the rich. Over the last about 25 years, what we call as the transition from communicable disease to non-communicable diseases, it has been seen that in low and middle income countries, 56% of all cancers in the world occur from low and middle income countries. And by 2030, in another 10 years' time, 66% of all cancers in the world will be from these parts of the world, the low and middle income countries rather than the rich countries. As I have shown you, Odisha has limited cancer registry data collection, only one hospital-based cancer registry. But out of those two publications that I have been trying to gather over, it's very difficult in the last 4 months or so after coming here. I'm trying to really grapple with what exactly is the cancer problem in Odisha. And these are the top 5 cancers that we see from the 2 papers published from Acharya Haryar Cancer Center. There are no other published data, unfortunately, from any other places: stomach, mouth and tongue, breast, cervix, that's the mouth of the uterus, and the lung. These are the 2 papers, one paper in 2012 and another paper in 2019. One paper constituted of 4,811 patients of 1 year in 2012 from Acharya Haryar Cancer Center. Another paper over 10 years from 2001 to 2011, 74,861. And they showed that stomach, mouth, breast, and cervix remain the top. From this, I have been trying to project that Odisha would be seeing something like 55,000 to 60,000 new cases per year, as per the 83.6 per lakh as projected from Acharya Haryar Cancer Center, because we do not have, unfortunately, population-based data from the Odisha context. The other thing that we have to understand from these papers, there is low awareness. So patients present in higher stage or late stage, there is low strength of health workforce, either in the government or non-government or private sectors, who are engaged for cancer management or epidemiology or cancer research. There is limited comprehensive cancer management. What we mean as comprehensive cancer management means under one roof, you have the cancer epidemiology, you have the cancer research, you have the cancer surgery, cancer chemotherapy, cancer radiotherapy, follow-up, survivorship plan, nutrition plan, physiotherapy plan, and all that. That is called the comprehensive cancer center management. So there is a difficulty in access, as you all can appreciate. There is a delay in diagnosis, as you all can appreciate. And what happens, somebody might have a surgery in Rourkela, will go probably to Burla or Cuttack for chemotherapy, and then will come to Bhubaneswar or Cuttack for radiation therapy. And that kind of a treatment for breast cancer for that lady, you can understand for her family how difficult it must be. So it adds to the cost burden for treatment for every patient who is not geographically placed nearer to the place of comprehensive cancer management. But then what we can appreciate about cancer, and what I must tell all of you to take back this graph from 1971-72 to now, the cancer in the last 50 years has been a success story in healthcare. The cancer from nearly about less than 10% has grown to something like above of 50%. In US, UK, Japan, the cancer survivor out of 100 patients who are diagnosed with cancer, more than 60 will live beyond 10 years. So the intention of treatment and the control of cancer depends on the type of cancer, stage at which the diagnosis, age of the patient, patient's health status, whether the patient has other diseases or not. But more than that, what we are also facing as our own hurdles, socio-geographic or cultural or economic hurdles, are the accessibility and affordability of cancer, and our disparate kind of health system where probably we are not able to meet the needs of modern cancer management for these patients. Dr. P.C. Mahapatra had requested me that I should talk something related to cancer screening, diagnosis, and CT scan, MRI, genetic mapping. I have left out deliberately all those things. I thought that I'm engaging with a non-government civil organization, and I must project things about which they can really empower the government. The National Health Policy 2017 India has implemented a program for prevention and control of what we call as non-communicable disease, cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. Whereas the participation of non-government organizations in these compared to the developed countries for non-communicable disease in our country have been extremely low. Now, as regards the screening, I'll just talk about two and leave the cervix and breast to my colleague, Dr. Jogmaya Patnaik. Oral, you should have the orodental examination, breast biopsy, and target group, like say in Orissa, those who are bidi smokers or say betel chewers or pan chewers and tobacco, and those groups. Stomach, you should have the symptom awareness of nausea, vomiting, fullness of the stomach, improve the surveillance, and there is something called the simple test of fluoroscopy with giving a very thin barium, which can be done in any district hospital. This is one paper when I was trying to figure out what I should speak to you all eminent, learned, knowledgeable paper. I fished out this paper in 10 years back. This was the most cited paper in the field of cancer medicine. This paper gave us a new direction about research in cancer. It distinctly showed from different parts of the world that lifestyle modification, physical activity and exercise, and diet, these are the three things which will reduce the cancer, not only for its prevention, but will also add to those patients who are going to live with cancer. We always talk about diet and we say that the Indian diet and spices are not good, but this is one paper from National Cancer Institute which says very emphatically the beneficial effect of Indian spices. John Miller was a proponent of what we call as ethnic food. And John Miller in NCI gave a lot of importance to nutrition and exercise as regards the needs for cancer management. Here I come to engage at the end how the Rotary can participate. And this has been the story of cancer success in most countries, like say England, USA, Japan, Germany, and all. It's the participation of the civil society which has empowered the cancer management for the society. I will request that engage with 2 hospitals near to your Riverside Rotary, identify your own nodal Rotarian persons, and engage with those 2 hospitals to have 20 to 30 patients per month on your record. These days, most patients have
smartphones. So hospital, when you have one or two doctors, patient and the Rotarian as the nodal officer, you can always map out and track what should be done for these patients. My request will be that since our main focus, more than 2/3 of our cancers are only these four in Odisha: stomach, oral, breast, and cervix. Please try to identify these patients in at least two major hospitals, how they can receive comprehensive care that I talked about. What are the delivery challenges for healthcare for these patients, and how we can improve their treatment compliance? If we can do that in the next 2 or 3 years through your organization or 2 or 3 Rotary clubs in India, I'll be extremely helpful that you will contribute immensely to the healthcare for cancer patients in Odisha. Thanks for your patient hearing, and I'm extremely thankful to you.
Thank you very much for your precious deliberation, which is extremely necessary and useful for all the Rotarians here. So we will try to make associated with, we'll get associated with the hospitals. In Rourkela, there are 2 hospitals who are working for cancers. So we'll also try to improve the increase the numbers. Anyway, thank you very much, Professor Mohanty. So now, Mr. Patnaik, please to proceed the meeting proceedings. And after the speech of Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik, we will have one interaction session where the members are they are requested to ask the questions which our 2 eminent speakers may comply. So, Mr. Patnaik, please. Not audible. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Patnaik. Rotarian Ganeshwar Patnaik, please unmute yourself fast.
Okay, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes. So, thank you, Dr. Mohanty, for your valuable deliberation on cancer, where you enumerated many things which will be of immense help to all of us. Now, we have another distinguished speaker, Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik. Now, I request Rotarian B.K. Pathi to give a brief introduction on Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik. Rotarian Pathi, please. Rotarian B.K. Pathi, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Patna sir.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Jogamaya Patnaik, who is a renowned and investigative professor in the field of medical oncology. He is energetic, ethical, and more knowledgeable in the field of cancer. She has completed her MBBS from MKCG Medical College, Berhampur in 2008. Then completed her master's degree in 2012 from same college. Then she achieved a doctorate of medicine from Regional Cancer Center, JIPMER, Puducherry in 2017. She is presently affiliated as Assistant Professor, Medical Oncology Department, KIMS, Bhubaneswar since 2017. One of her greatest dedication in the field of oncology is that she has written many books. The scientific publications are the most widely accepted way to share research results. Welcome, ma'am. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And I'm very happy and I have very sincere, I extend my sincere gratitude for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you and to speak and share the knowledge and share awareness about cancer in women. Thank you. May I have my slides, please? Okay, thank you. So, Jadebi Sarvabhuteshu Sakti Rupena Sanstita. So, the power is the center of our being. Women is a cause that we all are here in this world. But unfortunately, women in our whole world, not only in India, not only in Odisha, in whole world, women are always neglected. Women always try to get their own place and nothing comes to them easily. All of us, we have in our family women, we see them, how much they struggle in the society to get equality, to get all things that men usually get. Today's woman is a multitasker, but she has to do so many things, she has to adjust so many things to get or to reach where she has reached. So in cancer also, women have very specific challenges. Cancer in women are different than men, different than the common cancer incidences, common cancer prevalences. So let us discuss common cancers in women or cancer in women and help in whatever possible way to create awareness about cancer in women. Next slide. So I will discuss my points, whatever I want to tell in the following headings. What are the common cancers in women? Their etiology, screening and early detection processes. What are the challenges? Treatment modalities. What problems are faced by women with cancer? And how to improve the outcome of women with cancer. I'll add another small portion or one slide, how this pandemic has affected cancer treatment in women. And finally, I will conclude. Thank you. Next slide. So, Professor Mohanty has very well depicted that cancer incidences in whole world, in India and in Odisha. So these are the few most common cancers in women if we talk about 2020. As we see, almost 92 lakhs 27,400 cases of cancer were detected in women worldwide. In world, most common cancer is breast cancer, next is colorectal cancer, next is lung cancer, next is cervical cancer, next is thyroid cancer, next is uterine cancer, and the last one is stomach cancer. These are the most common cancers worldwide. Now, if we see common cancers in India, in male and female, the common cancers in 2020 are quite different. Like for example, if lip and oral cavity cancer is the most common cancer in males, similar to the world scenario, in India, breast cancer is the common cancer, first most common cancer. If we compare the second most cancer, lung cancer is the most important second cancer in India in males, where cervical cancer still remains at the second place. Initially, cervical cancer was the most common cancer in India in females, but now it has, after the emergence of breast cancer, it has now came back to second place. Another common cancer in women, that is ovarian cancer, is in the third place. Lip, oral cavity, or commonly the oral head and neck cancer, this is in the fourth place. and colorectal cancer is in the last place or 5th place. So these are the common cancers in India. Next. So why should we be worried about the cancer in women? So as we see in 2020, more than 6 lakhs cancer cases were detected in males and females in India. This is about the Indian setup. In 2020, around 30,000 more cancer cases were detected. New cancer cases were detected in females compared to males. Though if we consider the number of cancer deaths, females are less number of deaths, but the cancer incidences, if we consider, the female cancer cases were more in 2020 compared to the male cancer cases. Next slide. So, sir has already mentioned about what are the common cancers globally. Now, I will like to talk more about women-specific cancers, because these are the cancers who are most common cancers in women. So, breast cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, vulval, vaginal, ovarian cancer. These are the cancers related to basically the female genital tracts, and they are not seen in men. Breast cancer can be seen in males also. Like male breast cancers, they are very less common, but male breast cancers are also seen. But these are the genital tract cancers which are very specific to women. So we will discuss more about this cancer. Next slide. So if we see the breast cancer incidence, now every 2 years, the Globocon from WHO, they publish the cancer incidences and the cancer mortality in different countries and about different cancers. So the recent publication of Globocon 2020, which has been published in December or this month, this has shown that almost 22 lakhs 60,000 new breast cancer cases were reported worldwide, and almost 11% of the cancer cases detected worldwide were breast cancer. Breast cancer is also one of the most common cancers, one of the common cases of cancer deaths worldwide. Though it is not the first one, but it is one of the common causes of death in cancer worldwide. Next slide. Now, if we see what is the mortality, breast cancer is a disease of higher socioeconomic population, because the causes of the breast cancer are mostly hormonal, which are seen most commonly in higher socioeconomic group. So the mortality in breast cancer, if we see in compared to European, American, and Asian countries are having more breast cancer mortality. Next slide. Asia bears almost 50% of the cancer mortality in breast cancer. If we see the vulval cancer, they are more common in the developed countries. Like we can see here, European countries and North America, they are having more cancer incidences and also more mortality compared to Asian countries. Next slide. Vaginal cancer also, Asia bears the burden of more incidences and more mortality. Next slide. Cervical cancer, as we commonly find, these are more common in low socioeconomic status countries or lower middle economic countries. So because of that, the incidences are more common in Asian countries, and mortality also is more common in Asian countries. Next. Uterine cancer is also seen more commonly in high socioeconomic societies. So developed countries like European and North America, they are having more incidences, but Asian countries are having more mortalities from uterine cancer. Next. Next slide. Ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer also, if we see, this is also one of the most important female associated cancers. So ovarian cancer also, incidence and mortality both are more in Asia. Next. So what are the common symptoms of cancer in women? If if a lady experiences any breast lump or any abnormal discharge from nipples, pagetoid changes means there's some scaling and excoriation in the breast for a long duration. If this can, the breast lump or abnormal nipple discharge, this can indicate she may have a breast cancer. If the lady is experiencing postcoital pain, bleeding, then she may have cervical cancer. If postmenopausal bleeding is there, then we may suspect endometrial cancer. Any abdominal lump, distension or dyspepsia is there, this can indicate presence of a stomach cancer or ovarian cancer. Any non-healing ulcer in vulva, any abnormal vaginal discharge, all these symptoms can indicate any malignancy related to vulva or vagina. Sometimes the symptoms may be related to site of metastasis. We commonly find that the symptoms patient presents are most commonly due to the problems in the primary organ. But sometimes patients present with directly metastasis. Metastasis means if the disease or the cancer has spread to another organ, it starts from breast, but it has spread to lungs. So sometimes the patient becomes more symptomatic for a lung metastasis rather than a breast lump. So if a patient becomes symptomatic for problems arising in the metastatic site, then we have to reach what is the primary. So sometimes the presentation can be due to metastasis also. Next slide. So these are the common symptoms by which we can know that, or we can suspect that a lady is having cancer, and we can investigate accordingly. So what are the common etiologies of cancer? If we see, the etiologies of cancer are modifiable and non-modifiable. Modifiable factors are those things which we can modify or which we can change, and by that we can prevent the occurrence of cancer. For example, lack of physical exercise, sedentary lifestyle, improper diet. These things can be modified, and if they are modified so that they can prevent occurrence of cancer. Hormonal factors are very important factors for breast cancer, like early menarche, late menopause, late marriage, late childbearing, nulliparity, so or intake of hormonal pills. So these can be important factors which are important in development of cancer. Tobacco, smoking, high risk behaviors like multiple sexual partners. This predisposes to viral infections like human papillomavirus. Lack of hygiene, basically in during the menstrual periods, lack of hygiene. So these are the modifiable factors which, if modified, they can prevent development of cancer. There are some non-modifiable factors. That means we cannot modify these factors, like age. Breast cancer increases exponentially after the age of 50. So we cannot modify the factor. The incidence increases, but we can screen and we can find out whether the cancer. We can find out whether the cancer has occurred, and early detection is possible. So screening can be done for that. Socioeconomic status. So in low socioeconomic status, ladies in rural areas, they don't have knowledge about the hygiene. They don't have knowledge about the proper hygiene or maintaining a proper hygiene. So because of that, low socioeconomic status can see different cancers like cervical cancer, because viral infections like human papillomavirus is more common. Genetic factors we cannot modify. Hereditary factor, for example, a lady is having 2 or 3 relatives who are having breast or ovarian cancer. So she may have a genetic mutation positive, which we commonly tell as BRC or BRCA mutation. So hereditary cancers are also, they cannot be modified. Environmental exposure, like a person who is having environmental exposure of fumes or environmental pollution, he can develop lung cancer. So these are the environmental factors or non-modifiable risk factors which cannot be modified, but the modifiable risk factors can be modified, and their modification can prevent the development of cancer. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. So these are the slides I already mentioned, like genetic mutations which occur during cell division or random events, they cannot be modified. Viral or bacterial infections like hepatitis infection or any bacterial infection which can lead to chronic infection, can lead to development of malignancy. Immune system dysfunction, sometimes more common in females, like collagen vascular diseases, rheumatoid arthritis. All these are immune dysregulations. So they also can cause a dysregulated immune system and lead to development of cancer. Hereditary is also one of them. Next. So these modifiable risk factors, I already mentioned: obesity, alcohol consumption, tobacco, diet, physical inactivity, sun exposure can lead to melanoma, and multiple sexual partners, they can predispose for human papillomavirus infection. Contaminated injections, HIV can develop from that, and HIV associated cancers are also common and known. Exposure to industrial chemicals, fumes, environmental pollution, they can give rise to lung cancer. So these are the non-modifiable risk factors. Next. So I'll try to talk something about breast cancer. Now, if a patient presents to us with a breast lump, so we suspect and we try to diagnose whether the patient is having a breast cancer. Before a patient develops any symptoms, what can we do so that we can detect the breast cancer early? So breast self-examination is a very important part of the screening process. So breast self-examination means a lady who is more than 20 years can self-examine her breast and axilla and find out if there is any abnormality or any abnormal lump felt to her. If any abnormality is felt, then she can go and discuss with the doctor. After this, then clinical breast examination can be done, and if any breast lump is found in that, then patient can be subjected to mammogram examination. Next slide. So mammogram is a modality. It uses X-ray and it gets an image of the breast so that a breast lump, whether it is cancerous or non-cancerous, it can be detected. And if possible, a biopsy also can be taken from that. So how we diagnose breast cancer? First is clinical examination, mammography, then biopsies are taken from the breast lump, either direct biopsies or mammography guided biopsies are taken. After the biopsy report has come that it is a breast cancer, then we do 2 to 3 immunohistochemistry test. That is, what is the hormone receptor status and what is the HER2 status. So after this immunohistochemistry, we do the other imaging studies of chest and abdomen to know where the disease has spread. So accordingly, the staging usually is done. Next. So after we diagnose the breast cancer, this is the HER2 expression. Almost 20% of the breast cancers are HER2 expressed. This is an important epithelial receptor on the surface of breast cancer cells. Why it is important to know HER2 overexpression? It's because if a breast cancer overexpresses HER2, then the prognosis of the patient is not good, and we have a specific targeted therapy or targeted treatment for specially targeting this HER2 overexpressing breast cancer cells, which improves the survival of these breast cancer patients. Next slide. Next slide. So treatment of breast cancer is dependent on the stage of the disease. So the breast cancer is usually divided into 4 stages, stage 1 to stage 4. Stage 1 is the most early stage and stage 4 is the advanced stage. So treatment of the breast cancer according to the stage is done by either surgery or chemotherapy or radiotherapy or all of them combined together. The advanced stages of disease may not require a surgery but may require chemotherapy, targeted therapy, and with or without radiotherapy. Next slide. Next, I will go to cervical cancer a little bit because these are the breast and cervical cancer. They are more important cancer. Others are the incidences are little less. So because of that, I will discuss with cervical cancer also. Next. So cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is a very important cancer because it starts from a viral infection. So because of the viral infection which occurs very early after the intercourse starts, after a girl becomes sexually active and starts to have intercourse, then she may contact this human papillomavirus infection. This human papillomavirus can cause non-cancerous and cancerous lesion in basically female genital tracts like cervix, vulva, vagina, etc. It can cause cancers in other parts of the body also, but these are the most important HPV related cancers. In early stage, there may not be any signs or symptoms of cervical cancer, but cervical cancer is one cancer which can be detected in very early stage by screening, and widespread screening of the cervical cancer is also available. Commonly in population level, the cervical cancer screening is commonly done by visual inspection and or application of Lugol's iodine. So if any abnormal epithelial lesion is seen in the cervix by visual inspection after doing a per vaginal or per speculum examination, then if any abnormal epithelial area is seen, then Lugol's iodine is added on that. After that, the color changes, and that can be regarded as an abnormal area, and from which if a biopsy can be taken and it can be proven that if it is an abnormal cell or abnormal squamous cell or squamous cell carcinoma, then the diagnosis of cervical cancer can be made. The cervical cancer has 3 precancerous stage, that is called as cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, CIN 1, 2 and 3. All of these precancerous stages, they take 15 to 20 years to develop into a cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is another important cancer which can be prevented by a vaccine. As most of us know that cervical cancer vaccine, there are 2 vaccines available, Gardasil and Cervarix. So these 2 vaccines are available now. Now one pentavalent vaccine of nonavalent vaccine of Gardasil is also available. So these simple measures like maintaining hygiene, avoiding multiple sexual partners, and taking cervical cancer vaccines, this important type of cancer, which is very important in India, can be prevented. Next. So as I discussed, there are precancerous lesions by HPV, mostly HPV strain 16 and 18, they cause this cervical cancer. If persistent infection occurs, then mild cervical lesions occur and they gradually progress to cervical cancer. Next. So detection, as we have already discussed, by pap smear, colposcopic examination, clinical pervaginal examination, biopsy confirmation, where a squamous cell carcinoma is confirmed by biopsy. Metastatic workup may reveal lung metastasis or any distant metastasis. So accordingly, the stage of the cervical cancer is diagnosed. And after the staging, then the plan of treatment usually involves, in early stages, a radical surgery or radical hysterectomy. After that, concurrent chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And if the disease is a metastatic or advanced stage disease, then at that time, chemotherapy or with or without some targeted therapy can be given. Next slide. Next slide. So ovarian and uterine cancer, the common symptoms are dyspepsia, bleeding and pyometra, like postmenopausal bleeding and pyometra. These are common symptoms of endometrial cancer. Both endometrial and ovarian cancers have abdominal mass, ascites. Then we get the biopsy done and it usually shows adenocarcinoma. Then for staging, imaging of thorax and abdomen are done. After the staging is confirmed, then The cytoreductive surgery, chemotherapy, all these are treatment options. Surgery can be curative even in advanced stage of uterine or ovarian cancer. But in advanced stages of uterine and ovarian cancer, recurrence rates are very high. Though its complete treatment can be done by cytoreductive surgery and chemotherapy, there are high recurrence rates. Next. Vulval and vaginal cancer, as I have told, they are very less common and they are mostly treated like cervical squamous cell carcinomas. These are more basically squamous cell carcinomas. They are treated with radical surgery with reconstruction if detected in the early stage. In advanced stage, chemotherapy with or without radiotherapy is the treatment of choice. Next. So these are the solid cancers which occur mostly in females. There are also some hematolymphoid malignancies which occur both in males and females. So it is very apt to discuss hematolymphoid malignancies in women. They are also more common in Asian population. So common symptoms of hematolymphoid malignancies. So what are the hematolymphoid malignancies? They are leukemias, lymphomas, and blood cancers. And leukemias, lymphomas, and multiple myeloma. So these are the three common hematolymphoid malignancies. So what are their common symptoms? Fever, anemia, lymphadenopathy, bleeding manifestations, gum hypertrophy, hepatosplenomegaly, like increased size of the liver and spleen. Sometimes they can present with joint pain also. So how it is diagnosed? Basically, a peripheral smear examination, a complete blood counts gives us an idea that patient may be suffering from a hematolymphoid malignancy. The further staging requires bone marrow studies, bone marrow aspiration, and bone marrow biopsy. A PET CT scan also helps in staging purpose. Treatment is basically done by chemotherapy. Most of these hematolymphoid malignancies, excluding multiple myeloma, are curable. So, attention should be given about their proper diagnosis, and the chemotherapy should be started as early as possible. Next. So what are the problems faced by women with cancer and how to solve it? As we know that the detection of cancer in women mostly is a social issue. Female patients, as we see in day-to-day in OPDs, they tend to disclose their symptoms as late as possible because they have the whole responsibility of the family. They have to look after the children. So they do not disclose their symptoms early. Because of that, diagnosis is often late in women. They are often neglected. They tolerate pain very well and they keep working. Many of the time we see that a man leaves a woman when she is diagnosed with cancer, but the reverse is never true. That means if a husband is diagnosed with cancer, the woman does everything. But sometimes if a woman is diagnosed with the cancer, the husband leaves. So that is another problem. They save money for children, family, they neglect their own food, they neglect their health, they neglect their hygiene. Illiteracy arts, financial dependency also is an important part of it. Because of that, financial problems, they do not disclose their symptoms. Gender equality also is an important part. So because of all these problems, often cancer in females are diagnosed late. Next. So these are the problems which we discussed regarding cancer in women. Now I will try to tell some problems which were faced by females with cancer during this pandemic. Cancer patients, our cancer patients have suffered most in this pandemic. Amongst all different type of non-communicable diseases, cancer patients have suffered most because they have their scheduled chemotherapies, they have their surgeries, they have their radiotherapy. All these things were delayed due to lockdowns. Treatments were tailored because we had to reduce the hospital visits, so their treatments were tailored. Their investigations, follow-ups were tailored. We could not follow up the patient due to lockdown, so the disease has increased, or disease has or they had recurrences. Many new patients died fearing coming to the hospital because they don't want to come to the hospital to contact COVID. So because of that, many new diagnosed patients, they did not come to hospital. So COVID infection, if it has happened to a cancer patient, either with or without chemotherapy or radiotherapy or surgery, that has added more to the morbidity and mortality. So overall, during this pandemic, cancer patients have suffered, and women, they have the other problems as I previously discussed also. So because of that, they have suffered more even. So overall, women with cancer, they have separate challenges. They have financial issues. They have social issues which need to be addressed properly. So we need to be very careful in addressing those issues in women. Next. So take home message is that I would like to convey: females need to exercise regularly. They need to have early marriage and early childbirth, because the hormonal issues are there which should be sorted in early age, so that breast cancer, development of breast cancer is prevented. They should avoid high risk behavior. Early detection should be the most important factor to prevent women related cancers. And at last, I would like to say, your mom, your sister, your wife, your daughter need your attention, need your care. So please don't ignore them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Dr. Patnaik. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Thank you, Madam Dr. Patnaik, for your informative deliberation on cancer in women. I'm sure it will help many to take precautions and to recover from this disease. Now, it's time for the participants to have interaction with our distinguished speakers. Anyone who is interested for interaction, they may raise their hand and put question to our distinguished speaker to clear their doubts. Participants, please have interaction with our distinguished speakers if you are willing to do so, please.
Yes, Dr. Meher, please. Unmute yourself first, Dr. Meher. Unmute yourself first, please.
Hello.
Dr. Meher, please unmute yourself before asking questions.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. A very good evening to one and all. So this is Rotarian Swagatika Acharya from Rotary Club of Cuttack Golden Star. Actually, I am myself a cancer survivor. But working for cancer fighters since last 2 years, I've experienced that cancer in Odisha is a taboo till now also. People don't tend to say that they are undergoing a treatment of cancer. So my question is that if you go to Mumbai or anywhere else except Odisha, you find survivors raising awareness, survivors like counseling patients, which is not in Odisha. So should that be improved in Odisha, because they are the one who have experienced this and their views are going to be accepted by the fighters, specifically who are fighting cancer. So, sir, my request would be like, should our Odisha government or the hospitals which are working on cancer care should promote survivors to work on this awareness basically?
Professor V.K. Bhante, please unmute yourself before answering. Please unmute yourself. Yes.
In fact, ma'am, this is what I talked about. My entire talk in the last 4 months have been that in many areas, whether it is related to health, whether it is related to education, whether it is related to mitigation of the COVID-related challenges, what I have observed in my return from Delhi is that Odisha still needs lot of civil society and non-government organization participation. When we talk about these cancer survivors, when we talk about, say, voluntary services for cancer, we definitely need much more than what is happening. My request will be that although the Rotary or the Red Cross or say any other organizations might be working, but largely they are working in their own silos, what we call. And they all need to somewhere try to understand what are the needs for that group of the vulnerable, whether it is regarding the children who are out of the school for last 9 months or cancer patients, how these can be helped. And you are very right, whether it is related to cancer treatments, journey for a cancer patient from diagnosis or a cancer survivor's rehabilitation. Lot many things can be done definitely well in Orissa. And what I know very good thing about Orissa, and I must champion it, is that there is always a lot of social values attached in our day-to-day living. The only thing that we need to do is probably extend that to our civil society for our engagement.
I have a question to Dr. Mohanty and Dr. Patnaik. You said if non-government organizations or other than the governments do come forward, perhaps a lot of awareness can be done in Orissa. Yes, in this case, I find in Amritsar, our batchmate, they have taken up a project, cervical cancer vaccination. For the girl child, 11 years and above, they start vaccinating. I was thinking we can also do it in our district. Our district is a part of Orissa, full of Chhattisgarh and part of Madhya Pradesh. It's a big area. The 5 districts of Orissa, Western Orissa, and the rest is another district, okay. But is it advisable to take up this project? This is number one. Then as you said, we have a scheme in Rotary in all India, non-communicable disease. This is led by Dr. Bharat Pandya from Bombay. This non-communicable disease, this also, as you said very well, this comes under that too. So we are only talking about heart attack, diabetes, all this, which we have given a slogan, Ek chamach kam, char kadam aage. Reduce 1 spoon salt, sugar, and oil, and walk 4. That is just walking, do the walking. But can we include the cervical cancer as a part of NCD program and go ahead with the project which I have conceived from Amritsar? I think, is it advisable to do for the PPP participation, or we can go as it is if government allows?
I think I will say a little, and then I will also allow Dr. Jogmaya to say. The first thing we should know is that with a lot of gravity that the government of India withdrew from immunization for HPV vaccination. And in Europe last year in October, I was for another program in Europe. In Europe, they are extending the HPV vaccination as a social health need for the girl child between the age of 19 to 25 in all 27 countries. Whereas if we will see our national immunization program, government says that it is voluntary. So you may face challenge unless you are able to include your own 5 or 6 district CDMO and your own health policy makers like the district collectors who will agree for a PPE, because the government does not recognize HPV as national immunization program. So that can be a challenge for you, number one. Number two challenge will be, whatever may be the two vaccines available in the market, you have to engage the pediatrician or the gynecologists to monitor after they receive the vaccination. Why I'm telling this is, when the vaccination started in some states in India, and India withdrew from the program in 2007-8, just because of 2 or 3 deaths. You see, any vaccination, there is likelihood to be, but suddenly there was parliament question, inquiry, and India withdrew. And this was discussed last year in that European Commission meeting where I was participating, that how come the largest burden of cervical cancer country like India has withdrawn from HPV vaccination. But that's our national program, that's our national law, and our law of the land, and we can't go beyond the law of our land. So I will request Governor Patnaik that you have to find a way, and in case you feel that we should provide some information from our side, I will try to find out also how I can provide some information.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, as sir has already told that HPV vaccine is a very important milestone in the prevention of cervical cancer, because in no cancer it has been shown that something can prevent the development of a cancer. In cervical cancer, it has been shown that a simple vaccine and maintaining hygiene, cervical cancer can be prevented, which is the most common cancer. Till last few years, it was the most common cancer in females in India. So if that vaccination can be done, that will be a very good step. But as sir has told, that challenges are there. If vaccination cannot be done, or it cannot be implemented widespread also, if that awareness about the maintenance of hygiene, if that is also spread, that also will do a lot of things.
Actually, this HPV vaccination, when they have started in Punjab, Amritsar, there was a lot of negative feedback, a lot of press media, just because press was not handled. You know the obvious reasons. Press wrote negative things. So vaccination took a negative backward step. But with the Rotaries creating awareness, now it is going on, but slowly. That is why doctors, awareness, doctors participating and creating this awareness in a bigger way. This can be part of the regular vaccination for a child also.
Sir, the point which I just want to say is, supposing you will identify 5 districts and you will identify, say, 5 blocks from each district and 25 blocks, you have to see that what is the population of the girl child between the age of 9 to 25. And if you have to give them the vaccination over a period of 1 year or 2 years to cover them, what is the quantum of money that will be required? Next to that, unless you engage, as I requested, unless you engage the pediatrician or the gynecologist of the local area, these challenges from the media will be there. We know that the media does many good things. We also know that the media sometimes also scares the public. Ultimately, we know that media is a safeguard, but media can also sometimes be on the other side of us, and we have to accept it as fact of life.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Regarding this cervical cancer, you can do pap smear screening frequently in vulnerable age group without any problem.
True. True.
Anyone? Anyone who want to interact with Dr. Mahanti and Dr. Patnaik?
Yeah, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yes,
See, we are. I am a Rotary. I am a Rotarian, as well as I also work for the cancer patient through my Kriya Foundation.
Okay.
And we throughout of the Odisha, we are working, and we are also creating lot many awareness. We are studying that ki, a lot many stigma having every patient. Okay, especially lady patients, they're having lot many stigma, society stigma and all. They don't want to also talk that they having cancer. So how we manage and what is the protocol we are using so that they come forward and they have to discuss with us about their disease. I ask to both doctor, kindly please advise us.
Your introduction, please. Self-introduction. Your name and
Lily Janamani from Ekamra Khetra, Rotary Club of Ekamra Khetra, Bhubaneswar, and I'm founder of Kriya Foundation. I work for the cancer.
Madam Lily, am I audible to you? This is Bidhu Mohanty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you can do is you can have our email IDs, and if you can find some time to come over, although I know that nowadays people have this care of coming to hospital.
Yes, I'm very near to you, sir. I'm staying near to the KIMS, sir.
So you can always come over to us,
Okay.
see what we are doing,
Okay.
and a little bit of personal interaction will be able to help rather than addressing it in a forum like this. That what we do, step 1, 2, 3. Like
Okay.
today, if I have seen a lady with breast cancer, what did I tell her husband first? So there are many of these things that are real world examples, which are not very easy to say. The first thing that you tell to the lady is, did you come with your husband or somebody else? And that itself makes the husband aware. I'm just giving you a simple example. So I would love to have that you, me, Dr. Jogmaya sit down and take it forward, how we can be of any use to you. Whatever little we use, we can be to you. We'll love to.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
I'm leaving my email ID here.
It is with Dr. Mahapatra also.
Sir.
Circulate it, sir. No problem.
Okay.
Anyone, sir, who is interested to put questions?
I think we can close.
Okay.
Chat box. Is there any question in chat box? Amit, please find out if any question in the chat box. Okay, I think no more questions.
Answered.
Okay.
Okay.
Proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rotarian Swagatak Acharya, our DG FC Mahanti, Rotarian Lily Janamani of Ekamra Bhubaneswar, for actively participating in that direction. I also convey my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Mahanti and Dr. Patnaik.
Thank you so much.
Nice gesture to reply to our participants. Now, we have come to the end of this webinar. Before that, it is the turn of our PP Rotarian Archana Devta to extend the vote of thanks to all the dignitaries present over here in today's seminar. Please, Madam Archana Devta.
A very good evening to all present. I'm audible to everybody, please.
Yeah, madam. Yeah.
Thank you. A very good evening to all present. It is indeed a privilege on my part to offer vote of thanks in presence of such an august gathering. Cancer is a major issue for humankind and one which causes significant sufferings. It's a timely discussion for us here today to refocus on this as the whole world COVID situation has clouded such discussions on important health issues. We had the great opportunity today to listen to the renowned doctors, Professor Dr. Bidu Kalyan Mohanty and Dr. Jogomaya Patnaik. We are fortunate to get right insight on the subject matter. I, on behalf of Rotary Club of Rourkela Riverside, convey our sincere thanks to both the doctors for sharing their valuable time and also enriching our knowledge to cancer, a dreaded disease. We are indeed obliged to both of you, sir and madam. But most importantly, it is time all of you found to attend this event and the learning that we are taking away and spread in your network that could save lives and enhance our ability to successfully face cancer, for which I will be thankful and grateful to you all. Let us keep spreading awareness and education to manage cancer better. Here, I'd like to say, my husband, being a pediatrician, Dr. V.K. Devata, he deals with cervical cancer vaccine. And we always keep on telling people to get that vaccine, those who are having girl child. We are very much thankful to our beloved district governor, Rotarian FC Mohanty, for his valuable support, advice, and guidance time to time. We expect the same cooperation in future. I take this opportunity to thank our President, Rotarian Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, who for giving me the opportunity. It will be worthwhile to convey our heartfelt gratitude to all district governors, past district governor-elect, DGND, assistant governors, past presidents, president-elect, and president for encouraging us throughout. Thanks to all Rotarians for their active support and encouragement. I must thank all Inner Wheel Club members who are source of inspiration always. And finally, thanks all the participants who made this program a grand success. This pandemic has witnessed enormous downturns professionally as well as on personal fronts. Terminology such as work from home, social distancing, hygienic conditions, travel with safety measures, platform such as Zoom, Google Meet, etc. has become a regular practice. However, the life cycle of human has taken a dramatic curve and remains sustainable. The present situation demands not only a radical change in terms of individual personality, but also overall external factors such as economic, political, social, legal, and most importantly, digital advancement. So friends, let's stay blessed and safe. Let's be happy and make others happy. Let's make each other happy without a reason. Long life the Rotarians. Jai Jagannath.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Now I'll hand over to our dear President, Dr. Mahapatra, to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you all. Now the meeting is adjourned.